is considerably tighter.
You can't imagine how miserable the lives of slaves were in ancient Rome. Young, attractive women became playthings for the noble's pleasure, though at least they could cling to life. Most other slaves were forced to work in mines day and night until their last drop of blood was squeezed out. However, a few strong slaves managed to change their fate in the arena through life-or-death battles, known for their warrior culture. Romans are crazy about the violent and bloody gladiator matches. The wealthy and powerful are keen on building arenas and recruiting gladiators for bloody battles, which gives rise to the ludus industry, the gladiator training camp. Slave owners pick out the strongest slaves for professional training. Only after passing multiple rounds of selection and tests do they qualify as gladiators. For them, winning deadly fights isn't just the only way to survive, but also a supreme honor. Quintus is one of many ludus owners whose ancestors have trained many famous champion gladiators.
Hadrianus, Acabitus, Zephyros.
He's eager to establish his family's position in the arena, and his ace gladiator Ganakus is his greatest asset. Wielding dual swords and abandoning all defense, Ganakus exudes confidence and wildness. His handsome yet devilish smile makes young girls swoon and men jealous. Even when facing heavily armored fighters, he seems at ease, always managing to toy with his opponents through his agile movements. It's only when Ganakus gets his arm slashed in a sneak attack that he drops his carefree smile. He sticks his swords into the ground and decides to teach this dishonest gladiator a lesson with his fists. Each of his punches is as swift and precise as a cannonball, leaving his opponent dazed. The armored fighter tries to sneak attack Ganakus again, but he won't fall for the same trick twice. After 2 consecutive rolls, Ganakus dodges the slash and retrieves his swords. Seeing that the VIPs haven't arrived at the main stand yet, Quintus quickly reminds Ganakus not to end the match too soon. But swept up in the audience's cheers and shouts, Ganakus instinctively slashes the loser's throat, bringing the atmosphere to a climax. It's then that Capua's magistrate and the noble leader Tullius finally show up. Much to Quintus's disappointment, he had hoped to make a good impression on Tullius during this match to secure a spot in the soon-to-be-completed Grand Arena of Capua. Even though he didn't achieve his goal, rewarding the victor is essential. 2 young, beautiful slave girls and a jug of fine wine are enough for Ganakus to enjoy the afternoon. Meanwhile, the other gladiators can only practice fighting under the scorching sun and the threat of whips, while Ganakus engages in a 1-against-2 match indoors. On the street, Quintus runs into Gaia, a well-known Roman socialite and a good friend of his wife Lucretia. In the near future, she'll use her promiscuous body to help Quintus realize his ambitions. This brief encounter gives Quintus a chance to curry favor with Tullius. Learning that the Gallic slave fighting in the street belongs to Tullius, Quintus immediately offers 10 times the price to buy him and get closer to Tullius. Little does he know is that this slave named Crixus is fighting precisely to catch his attention. Only battle-hardened gladiators can notice the intense longing for combat and glory hidden in Crixus's eyes. He's desperate to enter the arena and change his fate. It's not until evening that Ganakus finishes his battle with the slave girls. Melita has been waiting outside for a long time. Her husband Anomaeus is also a legendary gladiator and close friends with Ganakus.
I've sent your cock, which has escaped you.
It will be missed.
Anomaeus was once injured in a fight against the famous Shadow of Death. Now that he's recovered and eager to return to the arena, the 2 slave girls who just fought with Ganakus are excitedly describing to 2 other innocent girls how he's hung like a horse. Melita kindly reminds them not to rush into matters of men and women, and not to be too surprised by Ganakus' size.
I've seen bigger.
In fact, her husband Anomaeus is even more impressive in that department. Even late into the night, Quintus still hasn't received a thanks from Tullius. He regrets wasting his money. However, Lucretia's comfort and advice help him regain confidence and form a new plan. In high spirits, he immediately words his wife thoroughly. They're completely unaware of Gaia hiding in the corner, watching with misty eyes, her own desires seemingly aroused. The next day, Quintus pretended to accidentally pass by the butcher shop Tullius frequents. He thanks Tullius for the chance to buy a quality slave. Unfortunately, his rival Vettius is also there. Vettius mocks Quintus for foolishly overpaying for trash. Quintus fires back, claiming his trained gladiator could beat Vettius's best even blindfolded. Feeling humiliated, Quintus challenges Vedius to save face. Instead of stopping their quarrel, Tullius agrees to their match. Oenomaus wants to fight to prove he still got it, but Quintus gives the opportunity to Ganakus. Despite his disappointment, Oenomaus sincerely congratulates his friend. Unfazed by the upcoming honor match, Ganakus drinks and sings on a cliff edge. He's long since seen through the essence of slave life. Drink today, face tomorrow's sorrows tomorrow. The match is set in a bustling marketplace, drawing a huge crowd. This plays right into Quintus's hands, allowing him to teach Vedius a lesson while boosting his Ludus's reputation. Sure enough, the popular Ganakus's entrance triggers waves of cheers. Vedius counters by sending out his strongest gladiator Otho, who's long despised Ganakus. Just as Tullius and the magistrate announce the start, Vedius interrupts.
Where is your man's blindfold? That was your boast, was it not?
Quintus is caught off guard. He never thought Vedius would take his trash talk seriously, but Tullius confirms it. Quintus is in a bind. He doesn't want to be labeled a liar, but fighting blindfolded against a top gladiator is suicide. While he hesitates, Ganakus boldly accepts the unfair terms, unwilling to see his master humiliated. Otho also has his pride of gladiator. He bangs his shield to reveal his position before attacking. Ganakus knows blade combat is risky in his condition. To increase his margin for error, he ditches his swords and tackles Otho, then pummels his arm to force him drop his sword. But even in close combat, Ganakus struggles to gain an advantage, getting pinned and pounded by Otho. He then lifts and slams Ganakus hard. The impact nearly knocks Ganakus out, and Otho gives him no chance to recover. As Ganakus takes hit after hit, Quintus's face darkens, while Vedius grins smugly at his successful ploy. However, the tide of battle can turn in an instant. Ganakus, previously on the ropes, seizes an opening in Otho's sword swing, disarming and flooring him. But before he can land many punches, the immensely strong Otho pins him against a wall for a brutal beatdown. Otho then grabs a nail and stabs it deep into Ganakus's shoulder. Even so, Ganakus doesn't give up. Dodging a lethal chop, he feels his way up Otho's arm along the sword and executes a reverse. After repeatedly smashing Otho's head, Ganakus forces his neck onto the sword edge. As Otho's blood sprays like a fountain, Ganakus clinches another spectacular victory. A thoroughly defeated Vedius slinks away, while Quintus gets his wish, Tullius's goodwill, and an invitation to discuss a spot in the new arena. Ganakus basks in the cheers and respect of all the slaves like a returning king, generously sharing his wine reward. Standing in the corner, Crixus can't hide the envy in his eyes, his desire for glory ignited.
One day.
Quintus returned home in high spirits with the good news, and Lucretia excitedly pours wine, while Gaia brings out opium she brought from Cyprus to enjoy. But Quintus has no mind to celebrate with them. Rushing off to meet Tullius, he doesn't realize he's walking into a carefully laid trap. Tullius never intended to give Quintus a place in the arena. He only covets the strong and popular Ganakus.
I do not offer to broker arrangement, I offer to purchase your man.
It turns out Vedius's ludus is actually Tullius's business. How could he allow Quintus to enter the arena and compete for profits? Faced with Tullius's threats and bribes, Quintus adamantly refuses to sell Ganakus. This thoroughly enrages Tullius, who signals his thugs to ambush and kill Quintus's escort. Then a sack is thrown over Quintus's head. Back home, Lucretia and Gaia, lost in their indulgences, are oblivious to Quintus's plight. As wild as their debauchery is, Quintus's beating is equally brutal. To humiliate him further, Tullius pours hot urine over his head, warning him to reconsider the deal.
Or be excluded from the games forever.
Looking at the nearly completed grand arena of Capua in the distance, the flames of ambition and revenge roar to life in Quintus's heart.